The WTMJ 5-day forecast tonight: cloudy, cold, light snow, a low of 17 degrees. Tomorrow, a little bit of light snow, maybe an inch, a high of 24. On Thursday, lake effect snow, just a little bit, a high of 20. On Friday, cloudy, 24. On Saturday, breezy, a high of 30 degrees. In Waukesha, it's 43. In Milwaukee, it's currently 45 degrees. We are joined live in the Annex Wealth Management Studios by Aaron Lipski. He is the fire chief in the city of Milwaukee. Chief, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me, John.
I want to ask you about the incident, 76th and Green Tree. A car crashes into a building. It's a chaotic scene. The car bursts into flames. The building's on fire. Your guys show up not knowing there's a building on fire. And long story short, in the midst of all of that, the car fire is put out. The building fire is still raging. You're battling that. The car is towed away. And later on, someone at the tow lot realizes that there's a body in the back of the car, the back seat of the car. First off, before I ask you about what happened, I want to tell you, I give you a lot of credit because when this story first broke, you went to the microphones and said, look, we made a mistake here and we feel terrible about it and we're going to make it right as best as we can. What do you believe happened on that day? What contributed to the body not being discovered?
John, so as you relay it, that is accurate. That is what happened. I believe that day, and I got to be so careful, John. I don't want to ever give the impression that I'm trying to explain something away or that it's excusable. We were supposed to have found this poor young lady, and we didn't. Some contributing factors, most definitely, were a change in the circumstance as far as the complement of rigs we sent to this emergency versus what we needed to deal with what was actually there. A changing out of crews from initially being assigned to that vehicle to go get new SCBA cylinders for their breathing apparatus and different crews being assigned elsewhere. Everybody got shook up and reassigned, and the focus of that mission crept from that car to the building. And John, we just never assigned anybody back to focus on the car. The car had been put out and we moved to the building. I believe it was a mental miss.
So, and I know you're not looking to make excuses. We're all just trying to understand. It was cold out. It was dark out. There were a lot of contributing factors. Were those factors that contributed to the miss?
We do believe they did. Our folks, not a single one of them attributed their own thoughts as to how they didn't see this. Nobody attributed it to that. I have to look at the whole environment surrounding this, and it was dark. There was floodlights that can cause night blindness. There was steam and smoke. Again, not excuses. That may have caused some of the peripheral people who weren't directly in contact with the car to miss that find.
When it comes to building fires, the procedures and protocols that Milwaukee uses are so well respected that they're used by other departments across the nation. When it comes to what happens after a fire, searching for bodies, searching for evidence, that sort of thing, is that something that was not the case prior for searching through a car after a car fire?
I would tell you that it was far less specific. And I would tell you that part of that is because when we send an assignment of one engine company with the hose and water and one ladder truck with the cutting tools and other rescue tools to an auto fire, the 8 members assigned on those 2 companies, if this is in the middle of a parking lot, their attention is solely focused on that car. And we have not had a previous need to have such an exhaustive search procedure, but this is real pain here that we've contributed to. We have to make this change.
Chief Aaron Lipski is with us. So what are the primary things that you'll change moving forward?
We are going to mimic a building search, which is 3 separate searches that occur over the same geography at different times. It's repeated by different people with different sets of eyes on an area during different phases of the emergency. We're going to do that same thing in that passenger compartment and any other livable space, or we already checked trunks. We just have to redouble our efforts, and we're going to make sure that we have covered that real estate in that vehicle with the same gusto that we would for buildings.
So you've made the decision, Chief, that no one will be disciplined. Why that decision?
We consider a number of different factors. There is a very real fog of war that can enter this space when you're transitioning between modes of attack and you have an expanding incident or you are outmatched, you're splitting your companies. There is a real fog of war, and I promise you this satisfies nobody. But we employ human beings and they make mistakes. And all I'm left to do is do everything in my power to prevent a recurrence and offer my deepest apologies.
Chief, a tough week. 2 of your firefighters hit by a car while shoveling snow. How are they doing?
They're doing really good. Thanks for asking, John. They're recovering. One of them is back to work, and the other one will be back to work shortly. I've had a chance to talk with both of them, and they're both upbeat.
You know, I'm always impressed when I'm on the scene of something and I see the collaboration between your men and women and the men and women that wear the police uniform. Can you talk about that important collaboration, especially with the world that we live in, and how you work on that?
Absolutely. I think what is missed in many of the discussions about fire and police relationships is we provide mutually supportive and mutually beneficial services to each other at key times. Our mission may be driving the bus on any given day at a fire scene or a bad car accident scene. Their mission may be driving the bus at a violent crime scene, albeit we have a key part with the emergency medical services. And we have really come a long way in the past 5 years, most definitely since I've had an opportunity to work closely with Chief Norman at the police department and his staff. We have really come a long way with shortening and strengthening those linkages between our respective organizations to eliminate confusion, to make sure good information goes back and forth.
I want to ask you about one of my favorite TV shows, Chief, if I can. Chicago Fire. It's all very realistic, right?
It's 100% based on real life events. Yes.
So do you watch the show? Do you ever see it or see other shows that replicate what you guys do?
You know, I have watched quite a bit of Chicago Fire. It has been a while since I've watched it.
Okay. So is it just exaggerated? It's not the worst call ever. There's not serious conversation happening in the firehouse and the bells go off at the perfect time. That's not real.
Well, that happens all the time. You're interrupted all day long nowadays. But I will tell you that if they were to film what the firefighting end of it looks like, you would be looking at a black screen, because that's what most of firefighting is. You're doing it by sound and feel, sensations of heat from different directions. There's nothing to see in many cases as you're crawling in. So it would be kind of boring to put on TV.
That wouldn't be good TV.
Right.
Hey, I want to thank you very much for what you do, for what your men and women do. They work hard to protect us. They're selfless. It's long hours. It's in rough conditions. And we appreciate it and respect it so much, Chief. Thank you for that.
John, thank you for the time today.
He is Milwaukee Fire Chief Aaron Lipski. It's 5:00.
The problem with New Year's resolutions? They're hard to keep and not so much fun. But if you're looking to make better financial decisions in the new year, here's a radio show that can help you get there and enjoy the ride. Tune in this weekend for Everyday Wealth with Soledad O'Brien and Gene Chatsky, presented by Edelman Financial Engines. Each week, award-winning journalist Soledad O'Brien and personal finance expert Gene Chatsky will explore how our financial decisions shape our everyday lives and why wealth is about more than just money. They'll be joined by Edelman Financial Engine's wealth planners and other guests to help demystify challenges like generational planning, retirement income, and tax-efficient investing. New episodes of Everyday Wealth will air every weekend and will be available on major podcast platforms. For airtimes,